Well guys, it is a dark day for Bungie as a studio, and it shows just how far they've fallen since the Halo days. I have covered for years the things Bungie has done to its co-workers and players, both in terms of laying off veteran staff that were integral to the studio's success, and the only reason why that staff was fired was because their stock was about to mature, and Bungie as a company would have had to pay them more if they decided to retire. And there was even Bungie staff that found out they were fired as during the work from home era, they couldn't log into their accounts anymore. It truly was horrible. For even longer, I've covered that major corporations, regardless of who they are, whether it be Sony or Microsoft, they only see their audience as dollar signs and will do anything if it means more profit. The worst part is they'll even do it at the detriment of the games their studios create. Now, Bungie was purchased by Sony for over $3 billion, and it's safe to say they're probably regretting their investment as both games Bungie is currently supporting isn't doing well. The primary reason for that, and it's what we're covering today, is greed. The greed of the executives at Bungie is straight up killing the studio, and I can't be any more blunt than that. From shady business practices to the CEO of Bungie having absolutely zero regard for the employees beneath him. It is seriously one of the saddest stories I've ever had to cover. It's gotten so bad, in fact, that now current and former Bungie employees are starting to share their experiences of being scolded and spoken down to. They've even discussed horrible suggested changes to the games, and it makes you think, how did Bungie even survive this long as a studio? It echoes the statements I said in last video, where I literally said Bungie leadership has been ignoring warnings for years about what would and wouldn't work in regards to Marathon. These key game aspects, these concerns that were cited by the developers were ignored, and then the alpha rolls around and oh, would you look at that Bungie leadership, people have problems with what's been made. You cannot brute force your way into telling people what to like, and that's something that is going to become very evident once we cover everything today. I also have to say, and it's very important, for employees at Bungie to feel so strongly about speaking out against powerful industry individuals, it says volumes as to how bad things have gotten. So let's break it all down and what it means for Bungie as a studio. First up today, and I feel like this was a good way to frame the video of just how bad Bungie leadership has gotten, we've got the following quote. As a former Bungie employee who worked on Marathon, I feel for those still at the studio. Working with engineering / Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating. I won't speak about the rest, but Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely. Toxic and humiliating is horrible words to see in regards to how employees are treated, and sadly, it's what I've also heard from my contacts at the studio. I waited a few days before making this video as I wanted to do my due diligence as usual, but I actually had Bungie employees reach out to me after my last video. They saw that Charlie, Moist Critical, featured bits of my video in his own video, so shout out to Moist, and they wanted to reiterate to me that Remy, things have been like this for a while at the studio, and only now are people seeing the true ramifications of the decisions made by leadership for years. By the way, I gotta say, these employees are huge Halo fans, and over the years, they've always sent me nice little messages saying, Remy, thank you for always posting Halo stuff. We love what you do. That's why there are some tie-ins to Halo that we saw in the Marathon Alpha. They grew up with the Bungie Halo games like many of us did over the years, which is really awesome. It's really sad to hear how bad the culture is over there. And today, it's honestly the worst it's ever been. And in part, it's because of how Marathon has been received. Not only are you spoken down to for years on end, but also you're working on that project for years, and you know in your heart that players aren't going to like certain things. On top of that, you tell the said executives that players aren't going to like this, and yet you're told to do it anyway. It's tone deaf, frankly, and Bungie leadership, they need to go. Now, as I said before, it takes a lot of courage to come out as an individual employee, put your reputation on the line, and speak out about a major studio. The reason why I say that is the initial post on LinkedIn has been taken down, which makes me think the poor guy was threatened with legal action in regards to making a public comment. Another reason why I feel this video is so important. In saying that, the official post continued on to say, and this is in regard to the layoffs that happened that had people furious with Bungie leadership, it was on our minds since the last layoffs of October 2023. We asked Pete, that's the CEO executive, and his response was that it was a lever he would pull again. They need to flush out leadership completely. My team was excellent, but it felt like everything else prevented us from doing anything meaningful. So, Mr. CEO Pete, who owns 20 cars, spending millions on them, said he's happy to gut further employees if the executives deem it necessary. This guy is a nasty piece of work. He doesn't care at all about his employees. He doesn't care about the players. I really think he only cares about himself. I so hope hope this video gets shown to as many people as possible, because this guy is a plague to the entire video game landscape. That quote I just read, however, again reiterated and confirmed my belief that at a day-to-day worker level, many talented teams and developers are committed to creating good games. It's the ones in charge that mandate stupid rules that seem to be tainting everything they touch. Now, in saying that, and what further makes my case, I've repeatedly spoken about my fears of the use of AI, and furthermore, the use of AI completely replacing developers, as it seems like this is becoming more and more common. The article followed on to say that repeated layoffs have only pushed the studio to rely more on contractors and even AI, making things even more difficult for full-time staff. So when I hear they laid off another round of my talented colleagues and friends, I feel angry. They're not at fault. They're not the ones who need to be canned, and every round only strengthens their reliance on contractors and AI. No joke. This makes me furious, because I knew when big companies said they're going to be integrating AI, the executives won't see it as a tool. They'll see it as a way to make talented artists obsolete. Just another brand new way to cut costs. I swear, it is their whole view on how they see video games that is the problem. As far as I'm concerned, they are not gamers. And it follows on to what I read next about Destiny 2. The executives at Bungie wanted to change Destiny 2 to be a subscription-based game, so you pay a fee monthly. This was received so poorly by the day-to-day developers, they all unanimously came together against the high-ups and said, you will literally kill your game if you do this. The fact that it got to the point where it was highly considered being implemented says there's literally nothing off the table in regards to lines being crossed. Following on from that, it even came out that because some pretty armor was released and you could just earn that armor by playing the game, not paying, the executives again cracked a tantrum. They said they weren't happy with the armor, citing that because the armor looked good, they thought it would take away from the amount of microtransactions they would be selling on their game. One set of free armor. Let me just say for the record, Bungie executives do not care about their players. They don't even care about their developers. They just want to milk money, and it's pathetic. For years, players have known that it seems like microtransactions get pushed heavily on Destiny 2. This more or less confirms people's fears of just how bad things are. I literally have a series coming up where I was going to be a new beginner player on Destiny 2, finding my way through the game. I'm rethinking even playing Destiny 2, and at the very least, I won't be spending a cent on the game in regards to microtransactions. I'll even go as far to say, if you are a Destiny 2 player, vote with your wallets here. The executives clearly don't have your best interest at heart. They don't even have the best interest at heart of their developers. Now, you would think after all of that, it couldn't possibly get any worse, but I want to leave you guys with this and make this the exclamation point. It really hammers the point home of just how petty the leadership is at Bungie, and it was the following comment made by ex-Bungie developer Leanna Ruppert, and it's in regards to Destiny 2's Lightfall DLC. It sucks that leadership wanted it to fail. There were so many elements of Lightfall that could have been monumental had the teams been properly supported. You pair that comment with Bungie leadership repeatedly failing to listen to concerns in regards to the marathon development behind the scenes, their egos are so large that they would rather the game fail completely than to actually listen to the feedback and admit they're wrong. And more than that, the thing should be different. They were willing to let a whole Destiny 2 DLC fail and purposely did not support the teams making their games. Then you have Marathon, the next game, and they refuse to listen to the developers' key critical feedback. Like, this is so bad, it's outside the realm of logic and reason. You cannot even begin to rationalize with these people, as it's so ludicrous that the people in power are like this at all. I'm very happy that so many people are covering this whole situation, and I'm proud of the Bungie employees for coming out to show just how bad things are behind the scenes, but this is really bad. With everything that's happened in the past few weeks, it truly could be the end of Bungie, or at the very least, the leadership needs to go. Just like Halo. Would not surprise me at all if Sony takes full control of Bungie. Sony could dilute and get rid of Bungie completely. Sony could close Bungie as a studio, lay off a majority of the employees, and move the remaining ones to different studios. It's all going to hinge on how Marathon performs, and if the internet is anything to go by, from the things I've been seeing, from the videos I've been watching, from the comments I've been reading, Marathon could be dead on arrival. You pair that with the current poor performance of Destiny 2, and Bungie's future is in question. In saying that, this whole saga is nowhere close to being finished. I would expect more information to follow in the coming weeks, but it's sad to see how Bungie was during the Halo era, even during Destiny 1, and then you compare it to now, where it's a shadow of its former self. The bottom line of all of this is that it seems like it stems from Bungie executives' greed. Pure and simple, it is just greed. Every decision is based around how much they can, on the the short term, maximize profits with little regard to their players and what it does to the state of the game. As I said a month ago now, short-term profits do not outweigh the long-term irreparable damage you will do to not only your brand, but your studio if you continue to make those decisions. And look what's happened now. And that's it. That's all I have to say today. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was informative as usual. I so feel for the day-to-day developers of Bungie who are putting in work day in and day out, and they have to put up with this absolute bullshit leadership. If you want more people to see this video, then as always, leave it a like. It definitely helps out. I know you guys are going to have a lot to say about this topic, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you guys later.